was just thinking about, and this doesn't have anything to do with this video this morning. This video this morning, I wanted to talk about why we as black people, how we got to get out of acting a certain way in order to make sure that we are not validating, nigga, what was that? We are not validating any stereotypes any non-black person have or has adopted or subscribed to. I just don't, I'm gonna take the long way because I have a problem with that. But then something that just popped into my head before I hit record, and I'm wondering how all of these straight black men who are raised by black women treat women in their lives like shit, because a lot of their mothers subscribe to a lot of the patriarchal and misogynistic ways that men govern their lives by. And I've heard women or mothers tell their sons, I know how these bitches are. Internalized bullshit. You creating a negative image of women in your child's head and your son's head because you have internalized these things that men have subscribed to and governed their lives by, these bitches and these females and all that shit. It's so crazy that, you know, you think about it. How are these black men raised by single black women treat black women in their lives just out of pocket, just emotionally abusive more than anything, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, gaslighting bitches. Like, what is the problem? If y'all, how did your mother, what happened to where she did not teach you to put women on a pedestal and treat them with respect and love and honor them and know that they are the head of the community, and it's the women, not the men, who keep the community intact? Why do women teach their sons that women ain't shit? And I know how women are. You better watch out for these girls and not watch out for these niggas. Like, I don't understand that. And I realized, because I thought to myself, how are all these black men raised by these single women? How do they why do they go through their lives treating woman after woman after woman after woman like shit? What was your image of your mother? Did you have a bad image of your mother? Did she leave a bad taste in your mouth? Did she exemplify what you hate in women or what you were taught to hate about women? What the fuck is up with that shit? I don't get that shit. But I didn't even want to talk about that. What I wanted to talk about was why we as black people. I watched Funky Dineva. He made a video about being profiled at a bank. And it was not even white people. It was Latino people, Latin people. He said Spanish, Latin. He said he went to the bank. He had some issues with the people. They was acting funky, and, you know, no pun intended, but they was acting funky, and they had, and they was treating him like shit and taking all these extra measurements for a check that was under $5,000. And he made some statements in the video saying that, you know, I didn't want to be that nigga. I didn't want to pull the race car. I didn't want to come off as the angry black man. I didn't want to do this. All these things that he had to check his behavior, and he wasn't even, this is the thing that I have a problem with. The fact that we as black people cannot go into a place of business where we're being treated less than the other people, the other patrons, and we are afraid to express frustration and anger, disappointment, any expression. We're now an angry black person. We can't even walk through this world and have a feeling of disappointment or dissatisfaction without feeling like we're validating some motherfucker stereotype about us. The real deal is, we need to be able to say, hey, listen, when somebody is trying to exercise racism or exercise some kind of white privilege, we need to be able to say, hey, listen, cut that shit out. I know why you're doing it. Because they're always going to say, I didn't realize, I didn't know. They're always going to say that. Because they know that we're so afraid of looking like the bad nigga. And we always are trying to be the good nigga. The meek, docile, oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to. No. Stop that shit. Cut that shit out. If you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling like your food that you got at the table is wrong, if you're feeling like you being treated a certain way at a bank, you need to fucking say something. He wouldn't even say the name of the bank. Put them motherfuckers on blast. If they're not treating you right, you feel like you've been racially profiled, they looking at the check and holding it up, scanning it, calling people, asking you what the check was for. That's money. It says on the fucking banknote, it can be used for private purposes. I don't have to tell you what the fuck I'm using my goddamn money for. You ask the motherfucker, what is the check for? It's none of your goddamn business. That shit pissed me the fuck off. And he said, you know, the man said, I like your approach. Nigga, fuck your approach. Y'all being racist up in this motherfucker. And y'all need to know that it don't. Now, you don't have to yell. You don't have to yell. But goddamn it, if you feel like yelling, yell. Because if you're being mistreated, somebody needs to be told about it. We need to stop acting like we cannot express anything but happiness because we don't want to validate. We don't want to validate what somebody thinks of us. And until you check a motherfucker, they are going to continue to do that. You gotta let these motherfuckers know, I see you. I see what the fuck you're doing. And tell them, first of all, you don't have no reason to ask me what the check is for. If you don't see nothing drawn in that memo section, goddammit, it's none of your motherfucking business. You do not need to tell them anything. This is the check drawn on your bank. Cash this motherfucker. You calling people, it's out of sequence and all this other bullshit. Okay, it's out of sequence, fine. Call them and straighten it out. But what you're not about to do is ask me what this check is for. It could be for any goddamn thing. It's drawn on this bank. Call the people if you want to call the people. Verify, you know, that the check was, you could do all of that. But don't ask me what my check is for. And don't be afraid to express yourself or express feelings of frustration or call somebody out for their racist, privileged ass bullshit. When you leave that motherfucker, they're going to treat the next black person the same fucking way. It doesn't matter how you act. It doesn't matter how meek and docile and well-behaved nigger you are. The truth of the matter is they're going to think like that about every black person. So it does not matter. So what the fuck do you need to do? Express your goddamn self and tell them you don't like the way that you were treated. I don't like the service you're providing for me. I think there's something wrong with it. And let me tell you something. We got to get out of that shit. Stop behaving for these motherfuckers. And that's real. And I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of it. He said the man, he walked up to the bank manager or whatever, and the bank manager told him, I like your approach. Fuck that nigga. I like your approach. Nigga, I don't give a fuck. You disrespecting me. I ain't disrespecting you. My approach should be a little assertive. My approach should be upset. Y'all motherfuckers are doing shit you don't normally do. And it's not going above and beyond for me to have a good experience. My experience is bad. And you should be able to express that without feeling like if I say something, now all of a sudden I'm an angry black woman or angry black man. Guess what they're going to think about? They're going to think that about you regardless. So express yourself and tell them what the fuck is the problem. The thing is this. We need to stop that. We need to stop behaving because we think that we're going to portray this negative image of us. The negative images of us are going to be, continue to be cycled through the news, through everything. So whatever they think about you, they're going to think about you regardless. So you behaving a certain way is in vain. You behaving like the good nigga So they don't think you're an angry black man. But in the moment, you have a right to be angry. That video made me mad. And it's sad because we can't even walk through this place and express frustration. That's why I tell y'all, whenever you see a motherfucker exercising his privilege in a way that only benefits him or her, and tries to put you at a lower level, or tries to put you down, or tries to check you, or you know like motherfuckers who like to just walk in front of you in the line because they didn't realize you were standing there. Man, fuck that. No, you're not walking in front of me. Check them right then and there. I don't give a fuck if they didn't realize. I don't give a fuck if they didn't mean to. If you didn't mean to, I'm about to show you some motherfucking etiquette today. And you about to learn some etiquette from a black woman or a black man. Y'all, we got to stop doing that. That shit is stupid to me. That video made me so mad. We have been fucking conditioned to behave in a way so that we don't validate any negative stereotypes. Lady, if you don't stop tailgating me, fuck out of here. We have been conditioned so that we don't validate any stereotypes of ourselves to these people. They're gonna think that about you regardless. That's why I don't like when we say, oh, there's a difference between a nigga and a black person. Get that shit out of here. You're using it the same way these racist motherfuckers use it. Stop that shit. Stop acting like you gotta behave like the good nigga in order so you don't validate any stereotypes. Stop that. If somebody is exercising some racist bullshit, if somebody is exercising their privilege, they walking in front of you, check them. Who gives a fuck what they think about you? Who gives a fuck? And stop comparing shit to what white people do this, lady, go. White people do this and white people behave like this. White people are not the standard of behavior. Let's just make that fucking clear. So stop saying, well, white people do this. Does that make it right? Because they be doing some fucked up shit and have been doing a lot of fucked up shit for centuries. Okay? So how they act is not really how you want to really behave. That shouldn't be the standard of how you behave. If I come into a bank and I want to cash a check that's drawn on that bank, why the fuck are you calling everybody? I'm coming to the bank. If I was on some sneaky shit, I'd take it to a check cashing place. The fuck out of here. That shit pissed me the fuck off because it makes me mad that we can't even express ourselves because we're afraid to validate a stereotype. What kind of shit is that? We need to get the fuck out of that shit. That's real. That's all I had to say.